Hi, this is my third installment in 15-minute increments of The Benefits of Being an Octopus by Anne Braden. Okay, Google, set a timer for 15 minutes. I'm starting on page 23. Just a few years ago, my mom was the one waking me up. She'd sing this little good morning song, even though she can't carry a tune. That was when she had to keep a bag of frozen corn on her face to numb the pain from rotting teeth. Because some people have parents who remind them to brush their teeth, but my mom didn't. Still, she was determined not to take ibuprofen because she was pregnant with Aurora and had heard that it could hurt the baby. She finally had to sell our beat-up car to scrape together the money to get those teeth extracted. She got 5 of them pulled, but the worst was the week after that. Because there we were, with no car, 15-month-old Bryce who was coming down with an ear infection, and Aurora about to be born, and 2 more teeth started throbbing. That was before we found the Octopus DVD, and that was definitely before Lenny saved the day and paid for a new set of teeth for my mom. I give Bryce and Aurora each another nudge, but it's like trying to wake up 2 rocks. I start to pull the bedspread off of them. Bryce holds tight, curls into it, and growls. Monkeys growl sometimes, right? It can't always be ooh ooh ah ah. Aurora, with her eyes still closed, pinches her face together tight. You got to get up, I say. You're not mommy, Bryce growls back. I don't have to listen. Not mommy, Aurora echoes. Every day it's like this. Does it matter that it was me who told them a cool story last night? No. You know mommy has to sleep in because she has to wake up for Hector in the night, I remind him. I don't point out that she never stayed in bed like this when Bryce and Aurora were babies. I've peeked in on her enough mornings recently to know she's probably lying in the fetal position, and that if I ask when she's going to get up, she'll say, soon. But she won't. I've stopped hoping to see her before I leave for school. And being rejected like that is not what Bryce and Aurora need to start the day. You're not mommy, Bryce yells at the top of his lungs. Screaming monkeys. Flippin' screaming monkeys. 20 minutes later, I've managed to get them out the door and to the corner of our road in the trailer park where the Head Start bus picks them up. Bryce is still in his pajamas, and Aurora insisted on wearing a skirt and a t-shirt, even though it's January in Vermont. But they're both wearing winter coats, so that's something. And everyone brushed their teeth for at least a minute. That's one of my mom's non-negotiable rules. And thankfully, Frank kept sleeping through the whole thing. When I'm finally on my way to my own bus stop, I see Silas come around the corner of his trailer. He's in 7th grade like me, and he and his dad have a good spot at the end of the row, so that when they look out the window, on one side it's all trees. Hey, I call. Silas glances up from under his camo trucker hat. Hey, he says back. He climbs over a gray mound of snow left from the plows and catches up with me. What's up? He says. Silas has the kind of freckles that make you want to connect the dots to form constellations and dragons and things. Other kids give him a hard time because heaven forbid you're a boy and you still have a habit of crying when you're sad. But he's nice. Still, I'm not about to let my mouth run about not having electricity. Not much, I say. Silas kicks a chunk of ice and it skids along the road. Aren't you going to ask me? He says. Ask you what? What's up? He says. Oh. I watch him as he plods forward in his steel-toed boots, his hands in his pockets and his eyes on the line of trees beyond the trailers. There's something about Silas that's different from everyone else I know. What's up? I ask. My dad and I went hunting this weekend. He drops his voice. For bobcats. I look around. Why are you whispering? Is that illegal? He shakes his head. Open season until the 2nd week of February. It's just... He pauses and glances at me like somehow we're part of some awesome conspiracy. The bobcat is the most challenging game there is. Pure stealth. In the whole state, only a couple dozen hunters will be successful this year. Why? Are they really rare? Silas keeps his eyes on the trees. They're around, but you've got to be like a cat to find them. And there aren't as many places to track them now. You remember that big town meeting about guns last year? I nod. That meeting was one of the rare times that Frank got out of his chair and left the house. He even took his .22 rifle down from the shelf, cleaned it, and put it back up before he went. He always keeps it there in case the government goes all tyrannical. And he made Lenny go down to the meeting, and Lenny made the rest of us go. It seemed like it was one bunch of people trying to tell another bunch of people what to do. And who likes being told what to do? Especially if the person doing the telling didn't grow up here and doesn't get how things have always been. Well, those anti-hunting people put no trespassing signs up in their woods. But that doesn't mean we're going to give up, Silas says. We tracked both sides of the public land along Squaretail Brook, all the way down to the hillside where it runs into the Beale River. He raises his eyebrows. We didn't find a single sign of bobcat. Not even any tracks, I say? You must be bummed. He shakes his head. It's all part of the hunt. You've got to be just as stealthy as they are. He pauses. Sometimes a bobcat will match its steps to a coyote's tracks. We'll go footprint for footprint. Maybe Silas is stealthy enough to figure out how to reconnect our electricity without the company knowing. But it might have to be a bobcat-shaped electrical box for him to pay any attention to it. He's going on now about what its scratch marks look like on trees, about how you have to keep your face to the wind when you're tracking. Whatever bobcat is out there, it's one that knows how to hide, knows how to disappear. Too bad, man, I say. Silas stops walking, looks at me, and gives me that same we're part of an awesome conspiracy smile. No, not bad at all. I stare at him. I picture his dad and him sitting in the front seat of their truck talking about bobcat tracks. They always seem so happy together, like they're on the same team. Hey, I say, do you know where you file that form to get help with electricity and stuff like that? He stops and looks back at me. I think my dad used to bring it to Family Services up on Route 14. Oh yeah, thanks. He nods and goes back to talking about the bobcat stuff, about how snow conditions are perfect because they prefer to be able to walk on hard-crusted snow, but this recent dusting over that icy stuff will let him pick up its tracks. On and on, until we reach the bus stop. It's packed with kids older than us and who look a whole lot less grimy than I do, and he clams up like he's never once heard of a bobcat, because that's Silas's superpower. Going for entire school days without talking. He's been doing it since the 5th grade when Brendan Farley got people to place bets about how quickly Silas would start crying. So he's really good at it by now. Things would be a whole lot simpler if I could just build a wall around me like he does. I mean, I basically don't talk in class either, but it's so hard to keep my face blank when people are trying to mess with me. I file onto the bus behind Silas and slide into the empty seat across from him. The bus is warm and quiet, but then I hear a voice behind me. It's Kaylee Vine, making noises as if a pile of rotting fish was just deposited in her lap. That smell, she says, like she always does. But not for long. I feel inside my backpack for my debate packet. My stomach drops. Where is it? Ugh, I can't sit here anymore, I hear Kaylee say as she grabs her stuff and heads to the back of the bus. My debate packet. Sitting at home. Still on the windowsill. Why did I think today could be any different? Chapter 4. I quickly pull my backpack closer to me and start drawing a cloud in the window's condensation. 1 circle, 2 circles, make it puffy, puffier, puffier. This cloud needs to be so big I can disappear inside it, someplace where I can't hear Kaylee's voice. The bus pulls away from the trailer park and starts heading down the street where practically every house has a big yard and some even have a swing set in back. I keep running my tentacle along the window, making the cloud bigger and bigger until there isn't any condensation left to draw in. It still isn't big enough. The bus slows down for its next stop. I peer through the wet window to see Matt Hubbard waiting up ahead. His bus stop is magically right in front of his house. No need to cross a whole trailer park. Instead, he gets to strut down his perfectly snow-blown walk, probably after having waffles and omelet and several strips of bacon for breakfast, and probably after his mom gave him a kiss on the cheek and told him to, "Have a good day, dear." And certainly after he checked his backpack to make sure he had his homework. I've seen his family before because they go out for pizza at the restaurant where my mom works, and they do that every single Saturday night. Every single one. It's like it doesn't matter if it's payday week or not. Like they never run out of gas in the car and can't fill it up. Like it's easy for them all to be together at the same time with no one working or sick or totally stressed out or screaming or naked. That'd be Aurora. It's like he lives on a beautiful tropical island and I can see it and smell the pizza, but no matter how hard I swim, I can't get there. Matt gets on the bus, holds his trumpet case out in front of him so it can fit between the seats, and makes his way toward the back. Even though we're in the same homeroom, he doesn't look my way. That's one of the things about people on that beautiful tropical island. They can't see who's floating about in the ocean around them. Or maybe they can and they just choose not to look. I don't know. I've never been there. Fuchsia is waiting for me at my locker when I arrive. Fuchsia isn't her real name, but she wasn't a fan of the name McKenna, and she's even less a fan of her mom. She found out about the color fuchsia in second grade, and since all first grade was kids coming up to her to order a McKenna and fries like she was a drive-through window, she didn't look back. Now, she's leaning against the locker next to mine, her pink hair splayed out behind her. I want you to know that I destroyed that white team yesterday. White team? I dropped my backpack and started opening my locker. Are you talking about foosball? At the rec? She nods. Destroyed. Who are you playing against? I carefully tuck the edges of my winter jacket inside my locker so the sleeves don't get pinched. I love my jacket. Lenny gave it to me. It was this random present one day because it's my mom who buys our clothes, not him. And it's one of those camo jackets with the sleeves that look like leather but aren't really, and it's pink. It's awesome. I told you, the white team. I eye her. And I destroyed them, she said, 9-0. You mean you scored against a team of little plastic men who were frozen in place with absolutely no one to spin their handles? I say. 9 times, baby. I bite back a smile and shut my locker. How long did that take? She shrugs. Just a few hours, but I was persistent. And I had promised Jane Kitty I would bring home a victory. Jane Kitty is a little scruffy ball of fur who followed Fuchsia home this past fall. I had been going on about Jane Goodall at lunch that day, and Fuchsia, who felt like living in the jungle would be way better than living with her mom, adopted the wild kitten as her own piece of jungle. I haven't gotten to meet Jane Kitty yet because my mom and Fuchsia's mom had a big blow up around the time we moved into Lenny's trailer, and we haven't been able to go to each other's places since. But Fuchsia talks about her all the time. Jane Kitty might be more proud of you if you could score against an actual opponent, I say. How many points did I score against you last time? Fuchsia puts on a fake thinking face. I can't remember because it was so long ago. Well, I'm pretty sure I can remember your score. It started with a Z and... Fuchsia puts her finger to my mouth to stop me. Sorry, you only get to talk smack if you're going to show up. I couldn't yesterday, I started to say, but Fuchsia's already heading down the hall. No show, no smack, she calls. Elementary goes through 6th grade here, so this is our first year in middle school. And even though we're already halfway through the year, I still haven't figured out the point of homeroom. Yeah, Mr. Bontaff takes attendance, but they take attendance during classes too. And there's the morning announcements over the loudspeaker about all the activities the good kids do, like drama and jazz band. But that still leaves us 8.5 minutes of awkwardness. There aren't assigned seats, so I usually just try to find a seat in the back where no one will bother me. Unfortunately, I can't get there without walking past some girls who are going on about the animals they chose for the debate, and of course, have their perfectly filled out packets with them. The chromatophores right under my octopus skin switch to camouflage. When I slide into the seat, I might as well be made of the same colors as the desk and the metal chair legs. I close my eyes. All I had to do was put the debate packet into my backpack. I could have done it last night when I finished it. I could have done it this morning before I woke up Bryce and Aurora. I should have thought about it on my way to the bus stop. I still could have run back to get it. So what if Frank had woken up and yelled at me? Most of the boys in my homeroom were bunched together like bees, swarming an open jar of grape jelly. They're all buzzing, mostly about the Patriots game yesterday, and it's like the jar of jelly is moving because soon the swarm is in the back corner right next to my desk. They're oblivious to me, of course, and I shift my backpack out of the way before I get stepped on. The last thing I need is to be walking around with a giant footprint on my back. I'd rather pretend that I'm not sure what people think of me instead of being forced to carry around physical proof of it. And we're going to stop right there on page 35. Hope you're enjoying the book.